Today, we're diving into a plan so huge, so ambitious, it's literally designed to fix the world's biggest problems by the year 2030. It's called Agenda 2030, and it's all built around something called the Sustainable Development Goals. So let's get into how this massive global vision is actually supposed to work right in our own backyards.
I mean, seriously, think about that question. It sounds completely impossible, right? But that's pretty much the question world leaders tackled. And their answer was this monumental to-do list for all of humanity, a roadmap for solving our most difficult challenges. So let's start at the beginning. What is this whole thing, really? Well, you can think of it as a shared blueprint, a game plan for a better future, that basically every single country in the United Nations signed on to back in 2015.
17. That's the magic number here. 17 huge interconnected goals are at the very heart of this agenda. We're talking about everything from ending poverty and hunger to fighting for climate action and gender equality. But it's not just a checklist, It's more like a web where everything is connected.
But you can really boil all 17 of those goals down to one powerful mission. This is a universal call to action. And it's not just about, saving the trees or boosting the economy in isolation. It's the whole shebang, ending poverty, creating prosperity for everyone, and making sure we can all live in peace.
And the entire plan is built on this one really crucial idea: sustainable development. Now, the official definition is right there, but what does that really mean? It's all about balance, right? It's about making life better for us, right now, but doing it in a way that doesn't completely mess things up for our kids and grandkids. It's common sense when you think about it.
Okay, so 17 goals. That's a lot to keep in your head. It can feel a little overwhelming. So to make it all make sense, the whole framework is organized around three main categories, or what they call pillars, that form the foundation for everything.
So first, you've got the economic pillar. This is all about prosperity. We're talking job creation, poverty reduction, that kind of thing. Then there's the social pillar. This one's about our quality of life, having access to good health care and affordable housing. And finally, the environmental pillar, which is all about using our planet's resources smartly, making sure we have safe drinking water and protecting nature. But here's the absolute key. They are all linked. You can't just pick one and ignore the others. Real, lasting progress only happens when all three are working together.
All right, so we've got this huge, ambitious global plan. But, and this is a big but, how does any of it actually get done? Well, this is where the story gets really interesting. Because the secret sauce isn't in some big international conference hall. It's much, much closer to home.
And that brings us to this key idea: localizing the goals. It's basically the process of taking these giant, worldwide goals and translating them so they actually fit the unique needs, the culture, and the economy of a specific city, town, or even a single neighborhood.
I love this quote because it just nails it. It's all about switching from the global to local, from a global framework to local action. That's the whole game right there. It's not about having a fancy document sitting on a shelf. It's about turning that framework into real action on the ground where people actually live.
And this whole local approach is guided by three big principles. First, universality. That just means these goals are for everybody, every country, rich and poor. Second, integration. Remember how we said everything is connected? That's this. And finally, and this one is so important, the promise to leave no one behind. This means always focusing on helping the most vulnerable people first.
All right, so we get why you have to go local. It makes sense. But what does that actually look like? How does a huge goal like ending hunger turn into, say, a community garden down the street or a local food bank?
Well, it's not random. There's a pretty clear playbook. It starts by really understanding the local reality. What are the actual challenges and opportunities right here? Then it's about engaging stakeholders. That's just a fancy way of saying talk to everyone. Local businesses, community groups, regular people. After that, communities turn those big global goals into specific, measurable, local targets. And finally, they create ways to track their progress, to see if what they're doing is actually working.
So why go through all that trouble? Well, the payoff is huge. When a project is tailored to local needs, it's just more relevant. It solves real problems. And, this is the big one, it creates community ownership. When people feel like they're a part of the solution, they are so much more invested in making it succeed. It becomes their plan.
Okay, let's be real for a second. This all sounds great, but it is not easy. Trying to take these massive goals and make them work on the ground, well, it comes with some very real challenges. I mean, communities run into some big hurdles. For starters, there are often resource constraints. Not enough money, not enough staff. Sometimes you hit cultural resistance, people who are just used to doing things a certain way. In other places, political instability can just stop progress in its tracks. And of course, every community has tons of different needs, and trying to balance all of them is a huge challenge in itself.
But here's the thing to remember. Facing these challenges isn't a sign that the plan is failing. It's actually part of the process. Figuring out how to get past these roadblocks, being creative and resilient, that's what sustainable development is all about. So as we wrap this up, let's go back to that big idea. You know, we often think of changing the world as this huge, overwhelming thing that only governments or billionaires can do. But maybe Agenda 2030 is pointing us to a different truth. What if the first step to changing the world was to change your street?